Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Blake Robinson, and with me today, I have the Massachusetts Sportscaster of the Year, Tom Caron. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Blake.
So let's just jump right into things. Take me from as early on as you want to go to where you are now. Take me through the steps along the way. You get to tell the story.
Yeah, well, it's a long story. I've been doing this for a long time. Started and went to college in Vermont, from Maine originally. I'm a New England guy through and through. Grew up in Maine. Big Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, Patriots fan. Went to college in Vermont. Got my first job at an NBC affiliate in Plattsburgh, New York. Was there for a couple of years. White River Junction, Vermont, Portland, Maine, the usual chasing after bigger markets. And then while I was in Maine, I actually left TV to go work for a hockey team, the Portland Pirates, who the American Hockey League affiliate of the Washington Capitals, and did play-by-play and communications for them for a couple of years. While I was there, we did some games that appeared on NESN, New England Sports Network. 30 years ago, they saw something in me. They gave me a chance. They hired me. I've been at NESN ever since. So now I did Bruins for a while. Now I'm mainly the pre and post game host of Red Sox baseball. Do some play by play, sideline reporting over the course of the season. I do college play by play in the off season. A lot of our college hockey, the Bean Pot, the Hockey East Championship, stuff like that. So main role is baseball. That's why we're down here in the sun in the palm trees, getting ready for the baseball season.
You're making me jealous. Again, it's all rainy here in Winston-Salem, and you have the most perfect background. You can't even tell if it's fake or not.
I know it's real. That's a real tree. That's helpful to know.
So my biggest question that I always like asking people in the sports media industry is you have this job, it's awesome. You get to do play-by-play, you're a studio host, you get to do it all with sports, but you've been with Nesson for what, over 30 years or at 30
Yeah,
years?
yeah.
You've built a community and you've been a part of the community. So what is the joy that comes from that? Not just doing the job, but having this group of people that you get to interact with?
That's a great question. And yeah, Red Sox fans are such loyal, passionate fans. Arguably the best fans in baseball. I wouldn't argue. I say they are the best fans in baseball, but I'll leave that to the judges. And you look at the Jimmy Fund, for example. That's a charity that benefits the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. It goes back to the Ted Williams days. It's been around for 75 years, and it's built really the notoriety, but the publicity of it has all been built on the platform of the Red Sox. A few years ago, Brock Holt, former Red Sox player, All-Star, he and I were asked to be the co-chairs of the Jimmy Fund. So together now we are the lead ambassadors for the annual Cancer Fund initiative. And I really get to see it from a different angle, right? You do TV and you talk to fans. You say this is great, but then we do a telethon every year. We raised over $5 million in 2 days last year for the fight against cancer. That's where you really see that it's not just a passion for watching games, but as you say, it's a community. And I think that that's the best way to highlight what that community means to me is just the willingness of the people of New England to come together, not just around a team, but around a great cause, around someone who needs help, anything like that.
When did you realize that it's more than the sports? I mean, did it take you a while or?
You know, you've talked to a few sportscasters of the year, right? And I always say you're really lucky to do what we do, but you're incredibly lucky if you get to do it in the community and the teams that you grew up cheering for.
Yeah.
So you didn't tell me the Red Sox report. I've been cheering for the Red Sox as long as I can remember, and I grew up in an era where there was an 86-year curse, where they didn't win a World Series from 1918 to 2004. And to be able to come on the air as the postgame show host in 2004 and say the Red Sox are world champs, church bells rang and people were hanging Red Sox hats on tombstones. I mean, yeah. If you weren't sure of how big a deal this is, that reminded you. There were literally millions of people at the parade. I tell the story that when the Red Sox won the World Series, I called my parents to celebrate with them as I was running out the studio. Right, the final out, we're going on the air. I wanted to call them. I tried in '86, but they never got that final out against the Mets. So I finally had that moment with my parents. Then my phone rang, and it was my wife and our son. He was 8. I was in my 40s. My dad was in his 80s. All three of us were celebrating the first World Series of our lifetimes. 3 generations who had never seen a Red Sox World Championship before. So, again, you don't have to go too far back into in the Red Sox lore to realize how important this is to the people of New England.
Right, so you mentioned your wife and your kids, and again, as an aspiring sports broadcaster, I want to know everybody's path and their journeys and how they find a balance. Because again, your job is awesome but demanding, and it can kind of suck you in. And I want to know how you've balanced that and how you continue to balance that because it's a constant life effort.
It really is. It's not easy. Certainly, when the kids were younger, they're a little older now, so it's easier now. But you miss a lot, right? I missed most of the summer. Good news is they both played hockey, so I was around in the winter a little more. I got to see them play hockey. I got to coach them in hockey a little bit. But didn't see a whole lot of little league when they were playing as kids. And one of my sons played college sports, played soccer, and if the Sox did 2021. Sox in the playoffs came with the 2 outs of the World Series, and I'm missing a soccer season. So you're sort of like, yeah, this is great that the Red Sox are on this run, but if they lose, I'll get to go see them play soccer. So it's kind of a win-win. You really, the best advice I could give is sort of bring them in and make them part of it. My kids got to ride a duck boat through the street to Boston after a World Series with the team, right? So that's a core memory they'll never forget. They got to come and see a lot of games, come on the field. Spring training was always their favorite time of year. You get to get out of the cold and come down and hang around and watch baseball in the sun. It's my wife's favorite time of the year because they play day games. We get to go out to dinner after a game. It's different from working every night in the summer. So that's really what it's about. The balance is hard. It really is. But I think if you're sort of transparent with your kids, if that makes sense, and I always tell the story that 2003 World Series, I was a sideline reporter, not World Series, but ALCS. I was a sideline reporter, and we're in the first round, and it was Game 5 in Oakland. I'm standing on the field in Oakland. I'm talking to my son, was 7, and he says, "When are you going to be home?" And I said, "Well, if they lose, I'll be home when you wake up. If they win, I'll be home next Saturday because we got to go to New York for the beginning of the next round." The Red Sox won, and he was just, I don't know who to cheer for. I want you home, but I want the Red Sox. Well, I cheer for the Red Sox. I'll get over eventually. Yeah, they won, and I remember calling him from the Lincoln Tunnel as we were just getting into New York at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Hey, I won't see you until Saturday. But that was the fun of it, right? Like he was all caught up in the Red Sox run. So I think sharing it with the family is what makes it special.
Yeah. I mean, from all the advice I get, I like bits and pieces of all of it, but I mean, I think, yeah, you can't put up a bubble, put up a wall. You just gotta let them in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to work in a cubicle. I'm going to
Like
work in the
this?
ballpark like that. I'm going to work in this. I'm going to
Yeah.
work at Fenway Park. So let's have some fun with it. I
Yeah.
think that's, I have fun as a broadcaster, so you might as well have your family be part of it and they can have some fun too.
Fenway Park is maybe, I mean, you could argue the most historic venue in the country. Again, there's a lot of them, but it's one of the most historic. If you could work in a game or any event at any venue, like which event is it and which venue is it? You get to make any combination you want right here.
Well, I mean, it's Game 7 of the World Series at Fenway, but and we haven't had that. We had Game 6 at Fenway that I got to do pregame, postgame show. So let's take Fenway out of it because I've gotten to do that. One of my first stories, my first assignments at Nesson was in the old Boston Garden. They were just about to tear it down. It was called the Last Hurrah. It was the Bruins against the Canadians. And they played one last game at the old barn before moving over to what was the Fleet Center and is now TD Garden. That was pretty cool. Like, as a kid who grew up watching those games in the old dank Boston Garden, I got to do that, which was really cool. Uh, One summer, I did play-by-play for Roller Hockey International, which is when they tried to make a hockey league on rollerblades before your time. It didn't work, but they tried. And those games were held in all these incredibly historic hockey arenas, like the Montreal Forum that's now gone in Montreal, the Odd, which was the old Sabres building in Buffalo, the old Chicago building before the stadium, before they opened up the new one. So that was pretty cool. I mean, nobody was there and nobody watched and nobody cared. But as a broadcaster, I got to go to all these pretty cool arenas. So that was fun.
Yeah. So when you were little, I guess the nickname, are you TC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go
Yeah.
by
It's
T?
funny. Yeah, I do now. It's become who I am. It's just funny because it started in high school. My soccer coach called me TC. Top Cat is an old cartoon, and Top Cat was known as TC. And so my coach called me TC, and then my friends called me TC. And so as I got into television, especially at Nesson, I'd be doing a pregame show, and if somebody yelled TC in the early days, it's that I knew that they knew me because
Yeah.
only my friends called me TC. So I, turn around and you get a hold of them. And then Jerry Remy, who passed away, but was our late incredible game analyst for many many years at Nesson. He started calling me TC on the air. So then it kind of flipped. Like now everybody calls me TC, and if you want to get my attention, you got to yell, hey Tom, or Lewiston, Maine, or Kelly O'Malley, my wife's maiden name, like something, because TC, like everybody calls it. So yeah, we had a 30th anniversary. They did a really nice thing for me last year, celebrating the 30th anniversary. The whole night was called TC 30, and they made T-shirts, and it was pretty fun. So yeah, TC's kind of the stage name now.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing, and I just wanted to, triple check. But
Yeah.
TC, when you were younger, the little Tom, did you envision this?
Sort of. Yeah, I want to be a writer. I always wanted to be
Okay.
a sports writer, and that's what high school. I was the sports editor of the school paper. College, I was sports editor of the school paper. It was actually in college when I started doing some play-by-play, and then I got an internship at an NBC affiliate, and that was the first time I really ever started thinking about broadcasting. So, I always wanted to be in a press box. Like that was my dream as a kid. I wasn't good enough to play the games, so I wanted to cover the games. I always say great athletes get great coaching at an early age, and so did I. A lot of coaches like, yeah, you are not going to become anything playing the game. So, but there's so many other ways, right, to be involved in this great business, this great industry. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I always wanted to be around the games. I wasn't sure how. This just sort of happened. Junior year in college, kind of fell into it, and have never looked back.
Was there a moment, specifically over your 30 years at Nesson, where you go, yeah, this is me. Like I am here and this is what I'm meant to do. And was there a moment that sticks out that you knew or
There was a real, one moment I always go back to, and I don't know if it's just sort of the moment where you're like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. I was at a golf tournament a couple of years into my Nesson career, and covering a golf tournament. And I hear, hey, Tom. And I turn around and it's Bobby Orr, the greatest hockey player who ever lived. I grew up cheering for him. And like, come here. And he just wanted to talk about something he saw me do at Nesson. But I'm walking across this putting green, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that's Bobby Orr. That's Bobby Orr. And there's moments like that where you still say, I work with Jim Rice, the Hall of Famer. He's alongside me. Dennis Eckersley for many years was my co-host before he retired. Like these are literally athletes I grew up cheering for. So you have those pinch me moments every now and again. But I guess the longer you do it, and the better you get at it, you get those opportunities.
I always wondered because somebody usually has a story. Everybody I've talked to, even if it's not directly related, there's something that sticks out every time and it's always different.
Yeah, it's cool. You really do. Every now and then you're like, I work at Fenway Park. You know what I mean? So like you're having a bad day, or it's raining, a bad week, whatever. You have trouble with your kids, but you're getting out of the car and you're walking up, and there's people outside taking photos of your office.
Mhm.
Like it's hard to have a bad day when you get to go to the ballpark every day. You know?
So for again, somebody like me or anybody that wants to get into sports media or sports broadcasting or an adjacent field, is there a piece of advice that is most important that you would want to give to them?
Yeah, the old Nike ad, right? Just do it. Like what you're doing right now. Get in a cubicle and Zoom somebody. Like just do it. I talked to you want to be a play-by-play announcer, go sit in the stands and do the play-by-play into your voice notes and listen back to it. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The better you get at it, the better your tape will be. The better your tape is, the more likely you'll get a job. You want to be a writer, just do it. I was writing, like I said, I started in the eighth grade. I started this thing called the Eighth Grade Press, a 5-cent newspaper. It lasted like 3 months, but I wanted to create a venue that I could write.
Mhm.
And I'll throw that in as a second thing. Learn to write.
Yeah.
Because if you can write, you can form a sentence. You form a sentence, you could probably form a statement, not to end a statement. I think a lot of people just don't understand, even broadcasters who are just beginning. It's all about the creation and the formulating of the formulation of your thoughts. And writing teaches you to do that. So get out there, there's more technology in this phone
Yes.
than there was at my first TV station. And that's the truth. Like you can go live, right? You can go Instagram live and do your own podcast, whatever you want to call it. So many opportunities now with YouTube channels, and just go out and create your brand and start doing it. And don't just, wait for ESPN to come calling, because they won't. But they'll come calling if you create something on your own. They might get real interested.
We got two more questions for you. The first one's on your shirt. Lead with your heart.
Yeah, that's a soccer team. The Portland Hearts of Pine in Portland, Maine, are a USL League One soccer team that I'm actually part of the ownership group. A couple of years ago, they came to me and said, "You want to help us out?" Because I had been there as a minor league broadcaster, and so I just sort of was helping them through it. And then they gave me the opportunity to join the group and expansion team, and that's the team's motto, which I love: lead with your heart. And it's so cool because you got 5-year-old, fifth grade, high school age boys as well as girls running around in shirts that say "lead with your heart."
Mhm.
And I think that's a pretty good message. So that's our motto. It's like Liverpool: you'll never walk alone. It's kind of just our mantra. It's on the back of our jerseys. So
Okay.
good motto to live by.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get people like me that ask, and you get to tell a cool story.
And we've sold a lot of shirts because it's a cool logo.
Exactly.
It's a cool
Yeah.
motto.
It's a win-win all around.
There you go.
All right, Tom, my final question that I like to ask is I have a microphone, if you can see it right here. I'm going to
There
hand
you
it
go.
to you.
Hmm.
You got any final words? Anything I missed? Anything you want to say to the world from Florida?
Ah, uh, Yeah, if you're starting this as a young broadcaster, you asked before, how do you start? Well, that's how you do it as a professional. But if you want to be anything in this business, be authentic to who you are. Don't try to create a persona. Don't be someone you're not, because people are going to see through that really fast, and you're not going to last. Be who you are. Hopefully, who you are is someone who's going to resonate with the viewers or the fans. I always say when I do the post game show, I always tell people, close your eyes, and if we're doing it right, it sounds like two guys sitting at a bar talking about the game. We might be talking over each other, we might be interrupting, we might be, jokes here and there, whatever it is. But I think those are the best studio shows. It's a few people sitting around just like they would be at the sports pub, dissecting the game they just watched. And that all comes back to just, again, I hope I'm no different with you right now, with someone I see on the street, or than I am on TV. Just be yourself, and you'll be really good.
I love that. That's, I think, the best way you could end it better than I could.
There you go. I'll give you the mic back.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to forget that. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, again, thank you, Tom, for everything. And once again, this is Tom Caron, the Massachusetts State Sportscaster of the Year. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it.